If you're ready to stop letting difficult people control your emotions and take your peace back, hit that like button, subscribe, and let's dive in. You know that feeling when someone says one thing and it ruins your whole day? What if I told you that feeling, the anger, the tension, the stress, it only lasts 90 seconds, unless you keep feeding it? That's right. Neurologically, stress chemicals flush out of your body in about 90 seconds. After that, what keeps the anger alive is you replaying the story, mentally arguing, rehearsing comebacks, keeping the fire going. It's like a smoke alarm going off because you burn toast. But instead of opening a window, you just keep making more toast. Here's the truth. Anger is a choice, an understanding that gives you power. The people who stay calm under pressure, they aren't superhuman. They've just trained themselves to do something most people don't, and that is to pause. Most of us say things like they really push my buttons, as if we're remote controls. But here's the thing, nobody can push buttons if you don't hand them. The buttons are usually unhealed wounds or personal values that got violated. When someone triggers you, it's not really about them. They're just showing you where you still need to heal. And that anger you feel, it's rarely the root emotion. Anger is often a cover for more vulnerable feelings like hurt, fear, or shame. Someone cuts you off in traffic, you feel disrespected. Your partner forgets something important, you feel like you don't matter. But instead of expressing that hurt, we lash out in anger because vulnerability feels risky. But vulnerability heals. Anger just creates more distance. Here's where your superpower kicks in. Between every trigger and your response, there's a space. And that space is your ability to choose. Most people react without realizing that space even exists. But once you do, you become the author of your own emotional experience. It starts with noticing. I feel tension rising. I notice I want to snap. That's your observer self coming online. Instead of being hijacked by emotion, you're watching it like weather passing through. You're not the storm, you're the sky. And here's a game-changing mindset shift. What if difficult people are emotional trainers? That critical boss, training your resilience. That passive-aggressive neighbor, helping you practice boundaries. Challenges aren't punishments. They're workouts for your emotional strength. Speaking of boundaries, they're not walls to keep people out. They are gates you control. You get to decide what enters your emotional space. I'm happy to talk when we're calm. I care about you, but I can't take this on every day. That's not rude. That's self-respect. And sometimes, the smartest thing you can do is take a timeout. Not to avoid, but to reset. I want to talk about this, but I need a minute to gather myself. 5 minutes of space can save 5 hours of regret. That's not a weakness. That's wisdom. But how do you stop getting triggered in the first place? You can't, but you can map your emotional landmines. Triggers follow patterns. Reminders of past pain, old criticism, situations that mirror past rejection. When you recognize them, you stop being blindsided. This reminds me of how my parents never listened. Now you're responding with awareness, not reacting from old wounds. And when someone else is struggling, you can care without carrying. You don't have to absorb their emotions to support them. Be a lifeguard, throw the life preserver, but do not jump in and drown with them. Compassion doesn't require self-sacrifice. Here's something that might flip your perspective. You're not reacting to reality. You are reacting to the story you're telling yourself about reality. That email your boss sent? It's short, blunt, no emojis, and suddenly your brain goes, "They're mad at me. I messed up. I'm not doing enough." But pause and ask, is that truth or just a story? What if the real story is they're juggling 10 deadlines and didn't have time for small talk? Same situation, completely different emotional experience. We do this all the time. Someone doesn't text back and the story becomes they're ignoring me. Someone criticizes your idea and the story becomes they think I'm stupid. But those aren't facts, they're interpretations. Assumptions dressed up as truth. Here's the powerful shift. You're not just a character in your story, you're the storyteller. And that means you can rewrite the script. Next time you feel triggered, ask yourself, what story am I telling right now? And is there a more empowering one I could tell instead? That one question can completely change your state. You're not stuck in your emotions. You're just stuck in a narrative and you have the pen. Here's the truth. This isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up and practicing, one small step at a time. You don't need to master everything. Today, just choose one tool and try it out this week. Maybe it's the 90-second pause. Maybe it's simply noticing, oh, I feel that wave of anger rising. That moment of awareness. That's progress. That's your brain rewiring in real time. The calm, grounded people you look up to, they didn't wake up like that. They practiced over and over in the small moments that most people overlook. Now it's your turn. Because emotional strength isn't something you're born with, it's something you build. If this helps shift your perspective, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe for more tools to master your emotions, not be ruled by them. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to practice.